YouTube? It's your girl Leah, back again with another video, and if you cannot tell from the title, today's video is another foundation review Friday, and today's foundation is the MAC Prolongwear Nourishing Waterproof Foundation. Now, if you're not familiar with my videos, my foundation review series, I will link up above the first ever video I did. What I do is I have a foundation in my collection, wear it out for a complete and total week, Monday through Friday, try it with different applicators, primers, and all of that, and tell you whether I recommend it, whether I like it for my dry skin, and yeah, what I repurchase it and all of that good stuff. So without further ado, let's just get into my notes and thoughts on this foundation. Now, the MAC Prolongwear Nourishing Waterproof Foundation, and if you guys see me looking down at any point throughout this video, you guys know, if you're familiar with my channel, I take my notes on these foundations. I write down what the site has about the foundation so I can give you site specific information, but then I also have my notes on here too, that you guys know the real deal information. Now, the site, MAC site, has this at $34. What you get is 0.84 fluid ounces. I know my foundations, except for one. I've got 1 fluid ounce at the minimum, if not more, in a foundation. This is one of the least amount for a $34 price point, which I'm kind of confused, and I want to talk to MAC about. I decided to charge $34 for this. Well, why couldn't y'all give us the 0.16 fluid ounces? What were y'all doing that day? But yeah, so a little bit less than most of my foundation. MAC has 24 shades in this foundation. I am in the shade NC45. There are only 3 to 4 shades darker than my shade. I know they have NW45, NW47, NW50, and I can't think of, I'm probably missing one additional shade. If not, that might be all they have. MAC has to do better with the darker shades in this Prolongwear line, but I think the Prolongwear line in general just has a little bit less shades, which I'm confused about. I have questions. The site says this is a full coverage, satin finish, long wearing, water resistant foundation. It says a waterproof formula that lasts for 24 hours and can be used as a foundation and concealer. The site claims to fit all skin types and claims to be transfer resistant. Okay, so they give you a little bit of a rundown with this foundation, and it's part of course, the Prolongwear line. They have the Prolongwear concealer, they have the Prolongwear foundation, and all of this. But this is the specific one that's supposed to work well as a concealer and foundation, and work well in water. And we're gonna test that in this video, and you guys will see whether or not I believe that claim to be true. Now, I've done a lot of MAC foundations in this series, and I've had different, thoughts on them. You guys know I love the Face and Body. I think that's one of the most incredible foundations, but I've had different opinions about the Studio Sculpt foundation, the Next to Nothing foundation, the MAC Mineralize foundation. So I've been up and down with the MAC line, so we'll see how I feel about this. I know how I feel about this. You'll see how I feel about this. Now, in terms of applicators for this foundation, I found that the brush kind of works better than the Beauty Blender. I'm going to give it to the brush on this one. I don't know what it is. I don't know, it gave a different kind of application that I really, really liked. In terms of primer for this foundation, all primers worked well this week with it. There was no specific primer. I'm trying to finish up the Smashbox Photo Finish Primer Water, and that's what I'm going to be using today in this video, but really, you can grab any primer. Today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go color correct and then come back and apply this foundation, because I am having some darkness going on down here that I don't even know what's going on. I've been getting my hours of sleep in though, but I'm going to go color correct, and you'll see me apply this foundation with this brush. So this is how it looks right after applying the foundation. I would say in terms of shade match, it is me a little bit more in the summertime. So right now, the season that we're in, I think this would be a perfect kind of match. Now, I did say this at the beginning. I did take this to the Bahamas last year. I thought it was an incredible Bahamian kind of foundation. Now, if you're seeing it on me right now, it does look a little bit darker on my skin tone. I think this is the darkest that it gets. I see a lot of people review this foundation and says it oxidizes. You'll see in this video about the level of oxidation that I think it has. But let me go ahead and apply the rest of my face and then come back with my kind of, you know, done with the rest of my face thoughts. And then I'll come back, of course, later on in the day with my final thoughts on this foundation. So stay tuned. Now I've gone ahead and applied the rest of my face. I bronzed around the perimeter of my face, which I guess only attributed to me looking a little bit darker. Now, let's test out these transferable waterproof claims that they have. Now, I'm going to apply a little bit to the back of my hand. This is what it looks like on the back of my hand. It looks orangey, but it doesn't look that dark. But let me apply a little bit more so I can really test this thing out. Let me go in with the brush and kind of stipple this thing out. So now it is on my hand, as you can see. This is what it looks like on my hand. And I got a tissue here. Let me give it a minute to set. Let me just waft it in the air to let this foundation set. Okay, and so I'm going to take this paper towel and just dab it. So yeah, it definitely came off on the paper towel. So I would say in terms of transferability, don't hug a guy in a white shirt in this one. I would say it's a no-go for the transferability. Like, I mean, let me just tap my face real quick, just to make sure. When I tap my face, it's not really coming off. Okay, maybe I lied. Maybe this is too brand new. Maybe you have to like let it settle for maybe like 5 to 10 minutes and then it might not transfer. But as I'm doing this on my face, the napkin ain't getting that dark. Now this is when I did it with my back of my hand, but I'm really tapping and it's not really coming off. Okay, this might be a first. I might have been wrong. Maybe a little too, you know, newly, you know, wet. I might not need to let it dry, but if you can see, even in the last couple minutes of me like having it on my hand, when I first applied it on my hand, it was not this red looking. This thing turns red a little bit. As I'm looking at it on camera in my hand, is it not looking super red to you? Like, MAC, get this oxidizing together. I talked about it in my MAC Mineralize foundation review. It oxidized ridiculously. I was looking like a Oompa Loompa by the end of the day. The only one so far that I really love from MAC and hasn't really oxidized is the MAC Face and Body. The next to nothing didn't oxidize like that at all. It was true to form. I just didn't like that foundation. So now it's settled a little bit longer, and still it is so much darker than when I first applied it on the back of my hand. It was not this dark. Water bottle, and I'm gonna spray. Don't get it on my face, babe. Okay, look at that. Water's just dripping down. Okay. So I'm going to pat some of this excess water away with the paper towel. And it's still there, honey. My arm's still got that darkness to it. So yeah, I definitely would say waterproof claims, go ahead. They win on that mark. But let me talk about a little bit about my notes on this foundation, what I noticed in terms of working with this foundation over the past week. I don't like shade selection on this. I think they could go a little bit better, and I think if they had an NC44, which I'm not sure if they have NC44 in this foundation, I doubt it with the limited amount that they have, but I think if they had an NC44, maybe that will work better. NC45 is looking really, you know, if you're NC45 typically in foundations and you're looking at it and you're like, that's for me, then yeah, this may be for you. But if you've watched any of my other review videos, NC45 usually kind of works well on me, and this one just really isn't. It claims to be transfer resistant. I think after you let it settle in for a little bit, it is a little bit transfer resistant. It claims to be waterproof. I definitely can see it being waterproof, and I also, like I said, wore this to the on my cruise last year. I think it's maybe the only foundation I brought on my cruise last year, and it really worked out well. It says full coverage. Actually, I get a very medium coverage with this foundation, a buildable to full, but I definitely think if you just apply it kind of straight on, you get a very, very much so medium coverage with this foundation, which I'm more so tend to steer towards the more medium to sheer coverage, so this works out well for me. I notice a very satiny finish on my skin in particular. I think on an oilier skin person, you may not get a matte finish with this. I don't even know if you get a satin finish with it. I tend to think that even though it says water resistant, I do not think that it is oil resistant. So if you have oilier skin, I don't think this is going to stand up well against your oils. But I do think this is perfect if you can find your shade match. If you are you're maybe a dry, normal 2 combination person and you're trying to find a foundation that's going to last you a while and withstand some tears or something like this. So I think this would be an awesome kind of wedding day foundation. I would give it that. If you find your shade in this, I think this would be amazing for a wedding day foundation. I don't think it can go that 24-hour mark that it's talking about. I'm like, you guys tried it with that 24-hour mark, but I think you can get a good wear, especially being a dry skin girl. You can get a good amount of wear without having to do anything else to your face, which is awesome. It's been about 3 hours since I first applied it and applied the rest of my face, so you're seeing it kind of after 3 hours, and I think this is kind of how it's gonna look, the continuous 3 hours of me wearing this foundation. I think in terms of you know, to the amount that you get for $34, I think they could do a little bit better with the amount. They could give you a little bit more or come down on the price a little bit, but this is a small kind of container. I can do this with it. It's travel friendly, and if you're going to the beach, if you're going on a plane, if you're going somewhere and you have like a small amount of a product, this is perfect. I think this is very compact, travel friendly, all this, but I think they could give you a little bit more. They're skimping on their product. It holds up against humidity. I had an event Thursday for my job, and it was outside, a summer party event, and I wore this, and it really did hold up amazingly well in the heat. It also, if you guys can notice, did not settle into my smile lines, which is something I always look for. I do not like foundations that settle into my smile lines. I do not like those at all. Me and them do not get along, and I have very prominent like smile lines, so the fact that this doesn't settle into those is an amazing thing. So cons with this foundation, I think it does oxidize, and you're definitely going to get a kind of redder tone to your, like if your skin isn't this red, your face is going to have to be this red, because you're going to get a redder tone with it, and I don't know what that is about. Mac, get it together. Should I have gotten an NC42? I don't know, but I think if I could have gotten this foundation in my shade match, this would have been my go-to foundation. I think it for a dry skin, normal skin, or combination skin person, this is an awesome foundation for an everyday kind of light wear. I hear a lot of people in my next to nothing foundation, they were like, get the next to nothing powder that's gonna make the foundation. But I think if I could find this in my shade, this would be up there with my face and body. I love face and body, and I think that's so good for sheer coverage. I think this would be my medium coverage MAC foundation if I could get it in a shade that really matched me and would not oxidize a shade upwards. I think if my skin was this complexion, I would adore this foundation. Would I repurchase this? Yeah, I would definitely think I would repurchase this for a trip. For a trip only. So if, say, I'm going on a cruise this year, I'm going somewhere, I'm going, you know, to Jamaica or, you know, Cancun or something like that this year, I definitely would buy this foundation again and wear it, because it was an awesome shade match for me while I was down there and while I was getting a little bit browner. You can't go wrong with this foundation. I think it's a win for me. I definitely suggest you purchase this. You definitely do not order this online. I definitely suggest you go into the store, go into the MAC store, you know, get a little bit put on your hand, get a little bit put on your face, walk around the mall for, you know, a good 10 minutes and see what the shade. Don't get this foundation and just think, oh, okay, it's gonna match me. Definitely see how it oxidizes for your particular skin, because it can be different and it varies from person to person. So if you're gonna buy this foundation, I definitely highly suggest maybe not order online. I normally I order everything online. Maybe test this out in stores, see what shade may be the exact match for you, and then purchase it that way. So yeah, if you have any questions, please leave them down below. Make sure you like, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.